up everyone, it's Trey 1000 GT here with a very special video. This video is a comparison video for all you Converse fanatics like myself. This is for a comparison video of the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and early 2000s Converses. This was like pretty much some of the best times that Converse made shoes before Nike purchased them and brought manufacturing over to China. We're gonna go ahead and look at all the shoes from each decade and do side-by-side comparison, insoles, heel tabs, etc. And I'm sure for all you people that aren't aware of the differences, now you will be. We'll go ahead. The first one we're looking at is the 1960s version. This is, I wouldn't say a Converse Chuck Taylor per se, but it is from the 1960s. Actually, Visvom made a shoe that took styling cues from this particular shoe. It's a very rare shoe, and the construction on it was beautiful. It was really, they paid attention to detail when they made this shoe. It's pretty comfortable. The insole is not too thick, but you can see that the construction of the midsole is really nice. The toe area, I guess like a capsule or whatever you want to call it, is very well constructed as well on this particular shoe. So we're looking at the side views right now, and you can take a look at that. Then we're moving on to the 1970s version, and you can see that the midsole is very chunky, it's thick, and the insole on this was very, very thick and comfortable. Very, very comfortable. However, the 1970s versions that I've dealt with, they tend to be not as well made as the 1960s versions. I don't know why that is, but the comfort-wise, it's superior. It's probably one of the most comfortable Converse All-Stars I've ever put on my feet. Very, very thick insole. So then we're moving on to the 1980s version. The 1980s, they weren't made as well as the 1990s version. The 1980s version is comfortable. It's very comfortable. The construction on them, the ones that I've handled, has been okay. Excuse me. But take a look, you can see that the midsole is still pretty thick, and still a nice shoe, still worth owning. But now we'll move on to the 1990s version, and you can see that the construction looks very nice, it looks crisp. It's not because it's a newer shoe, even though obviously you can see it's in better condition than the other one, but even for mint ones that I've held from the 1980s, it's still not as nice and as the 1990s version. I don't know why that is, but they were still made in the USA. You can see the blue box with the big All-Star on the side of it, and you can notice a little bit that the midsole started to get a little thinner, and so did the cushioning. But the cushioning is still there. It's still very comfortable, and so then we'll move on to the early 2000s version. And you can see that the box had changed. This was like the last generation of Chuck Taylors that were made in the USA, and you can notice a little bit that the midsole just got a slightly slimmer, and the construction, while still okay, is not as good as it was in the 90s. So I don't know if it's because they were doing better than they were in late 2003, 2004, whatnot, but the construction wasn't as nice, and the material, the canvas, as the years progressed, the canvas got thinner and thinner. Now, what Nike or Converse is using on their All-Stars is like paper thin. I mean, if you compare it to an earlier version of the Chuck Taylors, I mean, that's some thick canvas. They said it was 2-ply, 3-ply, or whatnot, but you could really feel it. On the current crop, it's sad. They feel like you're wearing a t-shirt around around your ankles. So anyway, we're moving on to the sole of the shoe. As you can see, that the 1960 version that we're comparing it to had a different sole. It was nice, different. And then we'll move on to the 70s, 80s, and 90s version, 2003, pretty much kept with the same type of design. Although, as the later versions came, they started to use felt, like a felt material around the edges. I didn't notice that until after 2003. Maybe it's just, or in the later part of production before Nike took over. I don't know if that was on the older pairs. I never noticed it. I don't know why, but I just never noticed that there would be no felt on the bottom of the shoe, and then you felt that fuzzy material as the years progressed. So now the insole, you can see that it says the Converse Comfort Arch. That's from the 1960s, and cushion heel. Then you'll notice in the 1970s, switch to like a bluish square box around the outside, and Converse is in a really deep black. And then we'll move to the 1980s version, and you can see the blue got thinner. Everything got thinner, and it's just everything matches, same color. And then the 90s, 2000s, they got rid of that square box around Converse, and the Converse got thicker. This is my favorite part. The blue tab on the back, as you can see, it was very small. 1960s version. The 1970s version had the black label for the black shoe, and the blue label for the white and or the off-white shoe. And it had, I'm pretty sure they used a blue label for other colors as well. Then in the 80s, it was like a pretty plain all-star with Made in the USA on the bottom. Same thing for the 2000s, and the 90s, 2000s, same heel tab. So, if you're looking to buy these, I would say, personally, I would go with the 1990s version. I think it's the best for the dollar. If you're a die-hard collector, you want to go look for that Grail. 1960s, 1970s is where it's at. Then I would go 80s for a little bit more comfort. 2000s if you want that last Made in the USA, but you don't want to break your budget and you want to not pay too much. But other than that, you can't go wrong with any of them. Made in the USA is where it's at. There have been some releases by Nike, by Converse. I'm sorry, I keep saying Nike. By Converse that have been comfortable. They made the product reds have been pretty comfortable. They have some cushioning in there, but you're paying $100 for them, so you're gonna pay for that. So, why not just go find a pair on eBay, maybe for $80, $70, maybe cheaper, and you can get a good buy. Sometimes you're gonna pay a little bit more. It depends what year, from what time frame, condition, color, different patterns. I mean, they made a million patterns. So, hopefully this helped you, make a decision on what you want to buy. Showed you the differences if you didn't know it or not. And fit-wise, I mean, they pretty much fit the same. The Chuck Taylors fit the same throughout the years. I always go with my true to size. A lot of people tend to go down a half a size or even a full size. So it's pretty much up to you. I really appreciate you checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more videos.